Right, what's going on? It's been a while, again. The last video that I posted was on Christmas Day, and today is Valentine's Day. So, no excuse, these past couple of months have been busy, which is kind of the norm for me. But you know what, it's all been in pursuit of better things. And you know, my motivation with this shit has just been waning for years. And I just kind of do this when I've got nothing else to do. So that's what I've got going on right now. Nothing else. But these videos aren't going anywhere or anything. I'm going to do them as I can. And hopefully you guys will keep tuning in for it. I'm in the upstairs living room today. Not for any real reason apart from, you know, a change of scenery kind of felt nice. And also we've been doing a bunch of work up here, so it looks nice and I'm proud of it. Yeah, anyway, what we got going in the background, I actually, since I'm up here, I'm not playing anything like physically. I do have the new Twin Tribes album, Pendulum, going on my laptop. Don't know if you can hear it. I have the LP version, it's downstairs, and I'll try and show it in a video at some point. But I don't want this video to be super duper long or anything, so I say we just get into it. The first thing that I'm going to show here is a classic death metal record from 1990. This is the debut from this band, and it's a band that I believe I've talked about before, but maybe just once or twice. This is Pungent Stench, For God Your Soul, For Me Your Flesh. Like I said, this is the debut from 1990. But, I mean, really, I don't need to talk too much about the music itself. I can say that there is lots of groove on this, which I really appreciate. Lots of really good riffs, the occasional solo, love it. I like the drum performance on this one, like all of the sort of like gallopy beats, I dig it. The vocals on this one sort of hover in the like mid-low range, with not much variation. The song Suspended Animation, there's a part in that track where it's sort of layered with like spoken word. Which I think sounds really cool, but the actual vocal performance is pretty much like uniform across the record. I'm willing to say that the like song structures here make up for anything lost by the uniformity of the vocal performance. So I'll show you what this looks like. This is a first press, by the way, if I didn't mention. This is a 1990s press on Nuclear Blast Records. And one of the ways that you can tell it's the first press is the red lettering on the back, whereas a lot of the subsequent represses, the lettering around the cover was green. Anyway, very cool album cover. I like it a lot. It's sort of in the same vein of the second album, Been Caught Buttering. And this band, after that point, had a very kind of steep decline in quality. But this one's great. The album cover's cool. The back cover, you got a shot of the band, like I said, put out through Nuclear Blast. And around the cover here is the song titles. This does include the lyric sheet, which on the other side has a shot of each of the band members and some credits and all of that. The vinyl is just black, but if you're curious about the labels, it's very simple, standard sort of Nuclear Blast label. One of the points against this album for me is that the lyrics are not good. English probably wasn't the first language of the guys who wrote the lyrics. But you know, it's almost, it's got a sort of charm because it's sort of silly. So this is a great one, man. Austrian death metal at its finest, I guess. I'm sure you guys know it. If you've never heard this one, for God's sake, dude. Absolute banger. Pungent Stench, For God Your Soul, For Me Your Flesh. Alright, next up we have something that I'm pretty excited about. I fucking love the earliest material from this band. This is I Shalt Become with Requiem. This is the third album from I Shalt Become that came out in 2008, the same year as the second album, In the Falling Snow. The first three records from this project are so, I don't want to say classic, because I don't think they ever really attained the status of like other classic black metal albums, but in terms of like US black metal, like the debut album Wanderings is, to my mind at least, kind of like a US black metal classic. And the second and third album, this one Requiem, are not far behind whatsoever. This album, I think, is kind of unique amongst the first three, because this album is so much more about the atmosphere than it is like the riffs or the vocals. Overall, it's very, very like creepy sounding. There's a pretty unique guitar sound that existed on the early I Shall Become records, and it's so, like, I just want to keep saying that it's so unique sounding, and it creates such a scary sounding atmosphere. And the vocal performance here is very much in the background. Like, the vocals are very sort of like snarly and menacing sounding, but they're very much behind the sort of wall of atmosphere. I like the occasional howls that you hear as well. Really, really cool. A very creepy, unique experience of an album. Though there are like riffs and stuff on this album, obviously, I think of it, in my mind, it exists as more of just a soundscape. And the actual like riffs and the vocals and everything else exists sort of to complement this atmosphere. Another thing that sort of aids the atmosphere, I think, is just the kind of repetition, which there is a lot of on this, but it only amplifies everything else. It's not a bad thing. I really, really like this album. So let me show you what this looks like, because there's another thing about this that I'm really, really stoked on, and that is that all of the photography is mine. So the photo on the front, the back, and the photo on the inner sheet are all photos that I've taken. This is a Bastille Rape Records release. So, you know, Craig had asked me for some photos, and I basically sent him like a Dropbox link with a bunch of stuff, and a few of them fit the theme, and I'm so fucking thankful that he actually went and used some of them, like he did with the Varden record, but all of the photography on this one is mine. So all of these photos also were taken in California, but not at the same time. This photo here was taken outside of San Francisco in 2021 at Mount Tamalpais, I think is how you pronounce it. And the other two photos that I'll show you in a minute were taken in the Redwoods in Northern California. But I love this photo. I'm really, really like just honored to see it on as used as like an I Shall Become album cover. And I know that the guy behind I Shall Become himself really enjoyed it. So very cool. There's the back cover there. It's actually kind of hard to see because of the way the lighting is all at the side. But it's a photo of a spider web, and the spider web is kind of the only thing in focus. But it was taken in the Redwoods pretty early in the morning. I really like this photo. But all of the track listing on the back, Bastille Rape Records, like I said. And this does include a lyric sheet, and the photo behind the lyrics is another photo that was taken right outside of the Redwoods, in the parking lot actually of the hotel that we were staying in, a place called the Requiem Inn. Which is not really a hotel as much as it is like an old bed and breakfast in Northern California. Very cool. This does include a bonus track called Ashes, which is actually, it was recorded in 1997, but that song was not part of the In Withering demo from 97. So previously unreleased as far as I can tell. The other side of the inner sheet has the I Shall Become logo. I love the vinyl color that Craig went with for this one, which is like just black and green, kind of like striped. Yeah, it looks like that. Very, very nice. I'm not sure of the limitations on this one, but it looks really good. And you could probably still get one of these through Nuclear War Now if you're in the States, and if you ain't in the States, I'm not sure. But I guarantee you they're out there, so if you want one, now's the time. Warlock sees another dog outside. So does Manny. Shut the fuck up! I absolutely recommend this one to anybody who likes atmospheric black metal. Truly outstanding. Give it a shot. Pick one up. I Shall Become Requiem. I got another first press for you, and I'm so fucking ashamed that I never owned a copy of this on any format before I got this. And there's no excuse for that, really, because this thing is fantastic. This is Violence with Eternal Nightmare. So, Violence formed in San Francisco in 1985, which for a thrash band, that is right place, right time to be a thrash band. This is one of the best, like, mid-late 80s thrash albums, in my opinion. I mean, absolutely packed to the gills with fucking banger riffs, man. And super memorable ones, too. They just get trapped in the noodle and hang out there for a few days, where you'll just be doing something and you'll have a Violence riff in your head just playing on fucking repeat. The audible bass on this one is another standout feature for me. Fantastic. I love it. I love the vocal performance on this as well, even though there's this sort of almost like aggressive kind of like yell. It doesn't really wander too much into like harsh territory or anything like that. The occasional gang chants are awesome. The solos are awesome. Every element on this thing is something to behold. And I truly am ashamed that I never had one of these before just recently. But, you know, it's only been in the past couple of years that I really sort of leaned into the thrash metal thing. Again, I wish I'd been on this train sooner. If I had to pick any favorite songs on this thing, Phobophobia is probably my favorite track on this one. I love the super, like, frenetic kind of like vocal patterns on that song where they just kind of keep going. And I like the lyrics for that song as well. The song Bodies on Bodies is another favorite, and then the title track, Eternal Nightmare. It's just fucking great, man. These dogs are driving me fucking crazy. Anyway, I'll show you what this looks like. Super iconic album cover for sure. This was a promo copy. You can actually see, like, you know, it has that like Sharpie mark that some promo stuff does. But it also has a price tag on it, which, I mean, I don't know, like normally promo copies weren't sold, right? But it says $1.99. Yeah, I don't know. And it also has the for promotional use only like stamp over the barcode. Anyway, the back cover is where all your lyrics are, with the shot of the band behind them. This was put out through Mechanic Records, I believe 1988. I'm almost certain it's 1988, I don't see it anywhere. The vinyl itself is just black, but there's the label, they both look the same. I don't know if this was supposed to include an inner sheet. This one doesn't. Also, fucking idiot. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, it's got 2 holes punched out as well. So they wanted everybody to know for sure this was a promotional copy. Like I said though, I don't know if this was supposed to include an inner sheet or anything. Normally I like make sure before I buy it. But this was actually a pretty good price. Also, I have a dog for sale. If anybody wants a dog, I'll sell them fucking cheap. Anyways, before I was so rudely interrupted, this thing is fantastic. From front to back, absolute banger. No excuses, don't be like me. Don't wait so long before grabbing a copy of this thing. It doesn't have to be a first press, just get something. It doesn't get better than this. That's Violence with Eternal Nightmare.
Listen to patience, what's what they say? I choose to stay here, but my fears are very away. I'm out of touch with all my sides. Don't close my eyes, I'll be the devil to collision tonight.
Alright, moving on to a 2024 full-length album that I am fucking thrilled with, man. You guys probably won't remember this, but when I made a best of 2019 video, I believe that this was number 1. It might have been number 2, but it was in the top 3 for sure. And now, you know, 5 years later, we have a follow-up full-length album. This is Departure Chandelier with Satan, Soldier of Fortune. Yeah, Satan, Soldier of Fortune. So, technically, this is the first newly recorded material since 2019. The Dripping Papal Blood EP came out, you know, a couple of years ago. But that was recorded originally in 2010, so it wasn't like it wasn't new material necessarily. I guess it was new to us, but this is the first new material since 2019. So stylistically, this is very similar to Antichrist Rise to Power, the debut full length from 2019. The big difference that I noticed is that the vocals here are a lot louder than they were on that album. They're the same kind of vocals, where they're not necessarily like straight up harsh vocals. They're very like strained kind of yell. But them being louder on this album, like you can make out everything that the vocalist is saying, which I always appreciate that. This band has such a unique way of like transporting you to some dark, dank, candlelit hallway beneath a castle. On top of that, I love the heavy-handed use of synths and stuff on this. But you can tell that these guys put the synths where they were needed, and they weren't just using them because they had a synthesizer to use. It all feels very calculated. And another quality that was carried over from the debut is the super like slowish, kind of hypnotic riffs that are on this thing. Pretty much throughout. The riffs on this one are pretty simple. But that takes absolutely nothing away. Every song on this thing is like memorable and interesting in its own way. I fucking adore this band, dude, and I'd love to see them play live one day. I think they're playing that big Japan show in like May or June or something. I don't know. But there's the album cover. This motherfucker is dripping sexual energy. There's the back cover there, all the track listing. Put out through Nuclear War Now Productions, obviously. This comes with a inner sheet here, Napoleonic War black metal, which I believe is what the inner sheet for Antichrist Rise to Power said as well. You have a shot of the 3 band members, and on the other side, you have all of the lyrics. The way that Nuclear War Now does the colored versions, if you don't know, it's like the first 80, 100, 200 orders get the colored vinyl, and then everything after that is just black by default. So I guess I got in early enough to get the colored vinyl. This is like a smoky gray with white, blue, and red splatter. Looks very, very good. I think this one was limited to 200. So yeah, man, absolutely no reason to not go and play this thing from front to back right now. I haven't seen a person say bad thing number 1 about this record, because there's nothing to complain about. Really, truly wonderful stuff. If you haven't heard it, please God, go give it a listen. That's Departure Chandelier with Satan Soldier of Fortune. Alright, moving on. This one is, I'm so fucking excited that this finally got a vinyl press. Since I started one of my very first YouTube videos, I remember playing this CD in the background, and eventually I mentioned that it had never had a vinyl press, but I've always thought of this as like one of my favorite sort of like heavy metal records ever. There's another dog outside. I wonder if Warlock's gonna start freaking out because he's right here by my foot. No, god damn it, dude. Anyway, I'm talking about this. This is 3 Inches of Blood with Advance and Vanquish. This record came out in 2004, 2 years after the debut full-length album, Battle Cry Under a Winter's Sun, which I have the vinyl press of that has been available for ages. And for some reason, this one never got a vinyl press until this year. It's the 20th anniversary vinyl press of this one. And like I said, in the early days of me making videos, which was almost a decade ago, I would talk about this record and how I just wanted there to be a vinyl press. And every year or so, I would go looking to see if any news had happened, and it never did. And then the other day, I was scrolling Instagram, and somebody had posted this, and I was like, what the fuck? So I immediately took to the internet, I found one, I bought it, it showed up like 3 days later. I mean, I can't properly tell you how excited I am to see this thing on vinyl. I fucking love this record. So 3 Inches of Blood is a Canadian band formed in 1999. And for me, this is the pinnacle of their material. I haven't heard it all, but everything I have heard doesn't touch this one. This one is chock full of razor sharp riffs, lots of melody in this as well. But like for me, like the vocal performance on this has always stuck with me as just being badass. It's super kind of weird and unique. Very, very high-pitched, kind of waily, sort of nasally, I guess. But absolutely not afraid to venture into like harsh vocals territory. Lots of vocal layering as well. Super cool. The song Premonition of Pain is my favorite on here, but Revenge is a Vulture is another favorite for sure. The song Deadly Sinners, if you're around my age, I turned 30 this year. If you're around my age, you might remember Tony Hawk Underground 2. Deadly Sinners was one of the songs in that game, and I remember being, you know, a kid, and I just fucking loved it. And it wasn't until a few years later that I you know, found the album, and that's one of my lesser favorite songs on the album. But it's just from front to back, this thing is absolutely white fucking hot. Just ultra fun. I don't know what else to say about it. I'm just gonna show you what it looks like. The album cover is a perfect representation of how this thing sounds. I love it. The back cover, you have all of the track listing and stuff. This was put out through Roadrunner Records. The song Destroy the Orcs was originally on the first album, but it was re-recorded for this. This includes an inner sleeve, all the lyrics, credits on the other side, whatever. 1,000 copies, and I think it was only available on red vinyl. So that's what I have here. Very nice. So, I don't know what else to say about this. I mean, like, if you're a fan of heavy metal, you already know 3 Inches of Blood for sure. If you're not a fan of heavy metal, I'm not really sure if this is a good go-to because the vocals are so strange. This was probably the first heavy metal full-length album that I ever loved. But whatever, give this one a shot. Absolute banger, no doubt about it. 3 Inches of Blood, Advance and Vanquish. I got 2 more records to talk about here. This one is a Russian band that I've talked about the other full-length albums that have been pressed to vinyl from this band. I've talked about both of them. And I'm excited to have this one as well. It is kind of weird that they're kind of pressing the records super out of order, just kind of all over the place. But whatever, I'm happy to have them regardless. This is Baross with Witchcraft Autocracy? Yeah, Witchcraft Autocracy. So, Baross is a Russian band. This is the 6th full-length album. So, like, I think 3rd full-length album is about to be pressed through Go to War X. And then, like, the 4th and 5th album, there's just kind of no word on if they're getting pressed. So, I'm not really sure why it's sort of all out of order. And this wasn't put out through Go to War X, this was put out through Azrar. So, I don't know, maybe eventually all of them will be on vinyl, but for now, whatever. This thing's great, man. I really like this band. I definitely like the newer stuff less than I did the stuff that was coming out around like 2020, 2021. But I mean, this band's first album was put out in 2020, and like I said, this is number 6, and you know, there's like EPs and stuff in there too, so a very busy band, you know, regardless. I feel like this album specifically is a little bit heavier on like the psychedelic rock approach than the previous albums. I could also be wrong, but I feel like the clean vocals are used a bit heavier on this album than previous albums as well. There's definitely a lot of the harsh, super croaky, harsh vocals, which I'm a big fan of because they just work perfectly with like the psych rock sound, which is why I've latched on so hard to, you know, Black Magic SS and all the sort of bands to follow it that are doing something similar. But every one of those bands that sort of do this get a lot of shit from people. Just mostly, I'm guessing, like the purist types. But I fucking love it. I'll take as much of it as I can get. All over this thing, you got like super spacey, like synths, and a very retro kind of atmosphere overall. Lots of little like interesting flares by way of like keys or guitar or whatever. Really, really cool. A couple of the songs on here are very kind of like moody and atmospheric and really slow. Like the song Stargazer, which is one of the only ones that has an English title, along with Black Widow Lady, which on the back cover here is literally missing the B in the word black. But the sixth track, the first song on the second side, is the other one that's very kind of slow and atmospheric and moody. I really like it. Anyway, the album cover is, I guess, sort of the same, but sort of different than the other ones. But I don't know, I kind of like it regardless, even though it's hella cartoony. There's the back cover there, like I said, put out through Azrar, and like I said, the word black is just straight up missing the B. So it's really nice quality jacket, it's really thick, but I love what they did with the inside, which is make it like, it's like holographic. Very, very cool. I don't feel like I have another record that's quite like this, but I could be wrong. I don't know, I dig it. So this was pressed on like orange vinyl and black vinyl. I just have the black vinyl. I got whatever Arcane Altar had, which was black vinyl. But it also includes a poster, which is always appreciated, though I don't really have very many posters up in this place. I don't really have much wall space left. But yeah, poster of the album cover, very, very nice. The whole thing, all the way around, is really nice quality. And Barroth's is a really fun project. And this newest full-length album from 2023, absolutely no exception. Give it a shot if you like this sort of thing. That's Barroth's with Witchcraft Autocracy. Let's finish this off. We've got one more record. This is another 2023 full-length album. From a project that I kind of sort of keep up with, but there's a lot of releases and there's no way in fucking hell that you can go back and get all of the ones that you've missed, because there are so many, and some of them random ones will go for crazy money, even though, you know, most of them seem to go for, you know, just over retail price a couple years later. So kind of weird, don't get it. But I love this project. This is Carz from Finland. This is Vexilloid, which is, I think, the 5th full-length album. But this band has like a crazy amount of like demos and EPs and splits and stuff. Carz had a super busy like first decade. And the first full-length album didn't even come out until like 2014, but at that point they had a whole fucking like a volley of demos and stuff. This newest album is, it's just under half an hour. And it's another great example of how Carz is one of the best doing the very kind of like slowish, hypnotic, kind of second wave style of black metal that, you know, right now. I love the super throaty, croaky vocals. The riffs are simple and there's normally not more than just a couple per song, but that makes it memorable, and it also kind of, again, harkens back to like the second wave style of black metal. I like the occasional sort of like synthscapes that are used on this album. I mean, it's just a really fucking good record. And there's not much to say about it, so it might not have been a great one to pull out for this, but I don't know, from front to back it's really good. There are a couple faster moments on here. The song Tempora is a good example of like a track that gets a little fast. And the fast moments are great because they're sort of in stark contrast to the rest of the album. Another thing that I can say about Carz, and especially this album, is it's a really good example of lo-fi production while also maintaining the integrity of every element. You can hear everything that's going on, but it sounds like a raw black metal album. Very, very good stuff. I love the album cover, sort of like, almost like Japanese style painting. I'm not sure who did the album cover, but I love it. It looks really, really good. This came out as kind of like a companion piece with like an EP called The King Sleeps Without Tears or something like that. But the EP that came out at the same time has this same sort of album cover. It's a different image, obviously, but it's the same sort of artwork, and I love it. The back cover has the band logo, all the track listing, a sort of like sword that looks like it's got like cloth on it, which is the same as on the inner sheet there. And the inner sheet on the other side has all of the lyrics, which I appreciate. This was put out through Territor Possessions, by the way. The vinyl itself is just black, but very nice, heavy vinyl, can't complain. So, no complaints, I love this project. I know there's already like a new album coming out this year, and I'm sure I'll probably at least try and grab it. Really, really good stuff. If you've never heard Carz, here's your sign, that's Vexilloid. Y'all, that's 7 more records. I showed a wide variety of stuff. Hopefully you guys appreciate that. I will get back on here at some point and show some more shit. I hope you guys will tune in for that. And again, I apologize if there's a gap between now and the next video. I'll try and find the motivation to do this again soon. But if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back soon. Later!